Previously on Automotive Tales. So, quick little repair on the Mazda today. So, we have a bit of a problem with the fans in as much as nothing happens until you go to 4. So, essentially, there's a big resistor pack that goes with this. And what it means is it's failed because on 4, it's just a straight short of the motor to the 12 volts and the rest rely on resistance. So it's a case of finding that resistor pack behind the dashboard and replacing it. Now, I have got a new one. It cost me a hefty £8.50. So a bit of a running theme here on the Mazda. Things are very, very cheap to repair on this, which is ace. The only problem is I don't know exactly where this is behind the dashboard. It's somewhere in there. So I'm just going to rip it apart and see what I find. Right, here goes. Ah, that was easy. Found it. Okay, so the old unit is out. The new unit is actually slightly different in terms of where the connector sits, but actually it does all work. I have just temporarily plugged it in to see, and I have got all 4 fan speeds back, which is good. However, when this has failed, it's obviously got in hot, as can be seen by this, which is not pretty. I'm going to plug it all back together and leave it for now. I'm going to see if I can get a new one of these plugs, because I don't like the way that's burnt through there. And I'm probably going to wrap a bit of tape around this just for now, just to make it a bit safe. But I'll probably pull a bit of flex on these wires, see if I can get a new one of these from a breaker's yard and splice the wires back in, because being exposed to the air doesn't look like it's done that copper any good either. It's obviously getting to that sort of age where the wires are starting to fail, but that's not a good look. But it works, so we'll put it back together as safe as we can for now and see if we can get a new plug. Cool, one job done. That's it, it is reinstalled. So I don't even think I had to take the glove box off in the end. You can get to it by just pulling this little piece of carpet out, and it is literally right there. So that's dead easy. Now let's see if it works. Okay, ignition is on. Moment of truth. That will be fans. Woohoo! So exciting times for, well, a sad person like me. Had a new clock delivered and a new fog light switch, which means I can finally put the dash back together for full 90 spec dashboard. I mean, literally straight away, that's better. Oh, so much more satisfying. And then, oh yeah. And then just as quickly, yeah. Lovely. So after a little drive in the mighty Mazda, I realised the wipers, despite my little fix, weren't really up to the task after having driven in proper rain. So we're going to treat it to some nice new wipers. And while we're at it, I have given the wiper arms a little paint, because they all looked a bit shabby. And as I got it all apart, well, why not? And voila. So I've got one of the fronts left to do. And you'll notice the old wiper arm still in the back, because the auto spares place didn't have a wiper arm for the rear for some reason. Yeah, it looks nice. I thought it was worth doing them for the £10 for the front, and I think it's about £6 for the rear, because actually at the end of the day we are going to have to sell this car, and I want it to be actually safe for whoever has it after me. But yeah, this is a nice satisfying little fix. I mean, ignore the fact the lacquer is peeling off and I've yet to actually clean and polish and detail the car, but you know, this looks nice, so you know, little wins. One front wiper arm with a nice new wiper blade this time. We're just waiting for the last one to dry, and then that can go on as well. So we are back on the mighty Mazda, and I think we finally found the source of all the road noise. Now you probably can't see that on the camera, but there's quite a distinctive rock backwards and forwards, so clearly this wheel bearing is dead and is making all of the noise. So we're going to whip this off, take the drum off and replace the bearings that are in the drum, and hopefully it'll be nice and quiet. Right, here goes. Okay, we have got the old bearing racers out, so you can see the gap in here where it's going to sit. I would show you that if I'd remembered to press play on the camera, but we also have a new bearing set, which is this here. So I just need to separate the bearings from the racers, get these racers in without damaging them, which is interesting because I don't actually have a press, so very carefully. Actually, the solution to doing it, if you're interested, is using the old bearing race, and then I'll thwack on that, which will push the new one in. And then once they're in, we're going to pack the new bearings with lots of grease. I suspect, looking at the way the grease was in this, it hasn't been packed properly. So I will show you how to pack these properly, and then we will put it all back together. Right, I'll try and remember to do the time-lapse thing as well. Got the bearing racers in. I had a bit of a scary moment where the spare one I was using, I was hammering it over the top. You can see some of the dents in it. Got stuck inside the lip here, so I had to prise that out a little bit, but all is good. It looks like I've got some damage on the race there, but I haven't. That's just a bit of oil from the bearing. So now those are both in, what I need to do is grease the bearings. So I'm going to set the camera up and show you how it's done. Okay, so to pack the bearing with grease, we need to get grease right in between all these rollers, between the inner race, between the roller carrier here, and make sure it's absolutely packed. Just sticking it on the outside isn't really enough. So the solution is to get a whole massive chunk of grease. It's a disgusting job, by the way, so you will need gloves. I have another cloth over here for wiping my hands. There we go. So you quite simply need to push the grease into the bearing. So using the palm of your hand, if you just squeeze, there are special tools for doing this, but you squeeze the grease in by just nipping a bit off the pile of grease there, a little disgusting looking grease slug. And it's going to go everywhere. You see it's coming to the middle. But eventually, as you keep squishing it in, it does take a while. Ignore the bit that's coming through the middle. I did warn you, this is a disgusting job. You're looking for the gap at the very top. You can just see the rollers in. You're looking for the grease, I can see it starting to come through, to actually come out of that top gap. Which, if you persevere, probably could have done with a bit more grease on my palm of my hand, but it's just starting to come through. Okay, so we are finally there. It does take a little bit of a while. I'm going to have to do this all the way around, but you can just see now, in between this inner race here and the carrier, you can see the grease just starting to bubble through. That means it's pushed all the way through those bearings. So now we're going to get another glob of grease and do the same and push it all the way around, so you can see where there isn't any here, and push it all the way through. So let's crack on. truly disgusting job. There is grease literally everywhere. It's on my hoodie, it's on the bench, it's on the phone, it's just everywhere. But they are nicely greased. It's all packed right into those bearings. So the next thing to do, put them into the drum. There's a little seal. You can see the dead one just in the corner of the screen here. There's a nice new seal to go on the back, which will seal against the hob. And then put it all back together. Dead easy job. Okay, seal in, grease in, new bearings in. You'll notice I used one of my old rubber gloves just to go over the middle of here so that I could spray the inside of the handbrake drum, which is what this is, with a bit of brake cleaner just to make sure there's no grease on that, because what we don't want is grease getting embedded into the lining on the drums, because on this little car, not only the handbrake but also the rear brakes, so that would affect brake efficiency. Right, so all that is left is to put it back on the car and dugger this bad boy back on. Dead easy. And just like that, there is no play in the bearing. Job's a good one. Okay, I thought I'd come back inside and just clean out the old bearings. So these are actually the old bearings. I've cleaned them all up, and this one is lovely, nice and smooth. But I think the problem is that one. That is a really grumbly bearing. Either it's got some nasty stuff stuck in the race, but I don't think so because I've given it a good clean. But that is really grumbly. So I highly suspect that was the source of the road noise. So it was worth the, whatever that was, 20 odd pounds to change the bearing. Which reminds me, I need to do an update for you on where I'm at with spend. Because obviously you see I've done quite a lot to the Mazda, and we did have a fixed budget. So let's go look at the total, shall we? Right, so we are going to look at what we have spent on the Mazda so far. You can see I've put together a simple spreadsheet because I'm a massive nerd. So I've got all the details of the vehicle in here, including the mileage, the number of previous owners, date of first register, February 97, and the original purchase price. So this car would have been £8,570. But anyway, that's not what we are here to look at. We're here to look at the spend for the Festival of the Unexceptional. So the budget was £1,000 to get a car and get it ready for the festival. So that includes the purchase price, which, while advertised at £795, I got for £675, which left me with a budget of £325. Interestingly enough, that represents 8% of its original purchase price. On top of that, there is my insurance. So I have insured it with Haggerty, and it is now taxed on a month-by-month rolling basis, but that's excluded from the overall budget. So with my £325, what have I done so far? I have, first of all, I fixed the radio, which was free because I got a code online. I then got a bit carried away and I brought an original brochure for the car and an owner's manual because why not? So that's another sort of nearly £30 spent. I then got on to actually fixing things on the car. The first thing I purchased was boot struts at $14.95 and fitted those so it doesn't clunk you on the back of the head. I then fixed the clock, which was really bugging me. It's a bit of an expensive spend just for an LCD clock, but it looks so much nicer now. It actually shows the time on the dashboard. Simple things make a big difference. Other things, the rocker cover gasket, which was quite a big job in the end, cleaning up all the rocker cover, but the little £9 gasket has made quite a difference. It looks nice and smart under the bonnet now. I also replaced the fog light switch. I took the fog light switch apart because I thought the switch was faulty and ended up damaging it. I still haven't figured out why I don't have a fog light, which is why you won't have seen a video on it yet. I've done some tracing. I need to do some more tracing. I think there might be a wiring issue somewhere, which isn't ideal.
I also replaced the fan resistor, which you have seen. That was a hefty £7.50. I did buy some paint. I haven't used it yet, but I bought primer lacquer and Ford Radiant Red for doing a few bits of touching up. I mean, it's a bit like rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, but go on, we'll see where we get to. I have just replaced the wheel bearing. That was a hefty £21 from my local motor factors, as well as front and rear wiper blades. So another sort of 18 or so pounds there. And then I also replaced some bulbs, which you'll see me doing just here. Things left to do then, so I still need to get an auxiliary belt. I spotted the belt was looking a bit perished, so I'm going to try and get one of those from the local motor factors as well. And then the final thing to do is to put tyres on. But what budget have I got left? So, while I've spent £1,042 in total, including the insurance, my actual spend for the challenge for the Festival of the Unexceptional is £817.97 so far, which gives me a grand total of £182 and threepence left to do the auxiliary belt on the tyres, which I think is doable. So hopefully I'm still going to come in under budget, and I'm going to have a car that is in pristine mechanical condition, even if it's going to look a little bit scabby with its peeling lacquer, ready to sell on to the next keeper, which is probably going to be the end game of the challenge, is to get rid of it. And I want to sell a car that is safe, so that's why I've checked the brakes, done the wheel bearing, done the wipers, and we'll put new tyres on it, so it should be just so for whoever takes it on next. Right, I better get on and find some tyres and an auxiliary belt, don't I? Next time on Automotive Tales. So I think that, all in all, is mechanically the mighty Mazda done. The only thing left for the fake Fiesta now is to make it look a little less pink and a bit more red.